Peace, light, and love, YouTube. What's up? So I got a message today in this meeting that we're having about doing it for the culture. That's really what's been on my mind. Do it for the culture. And what does that mean? What I'm thinking when I say that is, you know how we all have something that we can do. We all have our talents, our abilities. And for those of us who are in races, like if you're a black woman, a black man, or any minority race in America, right now, doing it for the culture, flex for the culture, to present yourself and contribute your gloriousness, whatever it is, your special flex that God has anointed you with. That right now is a time where we are in special need for support from one another, for solidarity amongst one another. For example, for those of us who, if you are a content creator of any kind with 111 on the clock, if you are an artist, if maybe you bake cakes in a certain type of way, doing that with a flex for the culture, doing it for the culture, find a way, even if, whatever it is you may be doing. Like I say, the newspaper carrier can do it for the culture, finding his or her special way of doing that. So that's really what I wanted to find a way to communicate. So I'm going to pull a few cards from Maji Got the Teas, the Chosen Ones 144 Oracle deck, just surrounding this topic and seeing what comes out and what can be said about it. So praying for God to be present and to bless this space and to bless the message. As God is always present, always caring for us, and we all know that no weapon formed against us as chosen ones shall prosper. That's right. We know this. So love it. Wonderful. What an awesome pull. First card that fell out there is Light Worker. Like I'm saying here, as chosen ones, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. We are here doing the work of God. The things that are going on right now on planet Earth and the people who are here on planet Earth right now, this is all divine timing. Simply put, we know this. We were here for a time like such. No coincidence. So, who our parents are, that generation, and who we are, and each one of us in our generation, and the children that we birth, that we create. They are here during a time as such by divine timing. By divine timing, we're all here. So it's one thing that I know I think on, I ponder upon quite a bit when I look around, because topics such as like racism, discrimination, really have baffled my mind, conceptually. It's kind of like you're born into the world and you're like, wow, there are people in this world who treat people like me a certain type of way, based off of there's all this history behind it of how people like me, they're Native Americans, here before Europeans, and there are some black peoples here before Europeans, but then there's this mass migration of slaves to America, who were sold by other black people, of other Africans, if you didn't know. A lot of people would think that a bunch of white people could go to Africa and then come back with all them people. So yes, it was Africans who sold other, Africans into slavery, common knowledge. Then, we've been brought here. And then for me, I often equate it with Jurassic Park. How they created them dinosaurs, brought them dinosaurs into creation. On planet Earth, they got actual ancient dinosaur beings. And then what happens in Jurassic Park? They had no place thinking they could master dominate those ancient dinosaur beings. So I really think of it like that in as far as like Jurassic Park. Oftentimes, the card coming up here is your name holds power. Black power comes to mind. I've been making a lot of posts talking about black power. Your name holds power. You know what I'm saying? Big message. Definitely respect your name. For those of us who have a challenge of people wanting to shorten or abbreviate our names because of just culture and spirit, something very spiritual about it. When you know, you know. I just encourage you to keep on keeping on, and emphasizing, repeating, highlighting, finding your way to say what your name is, how you code with it. Sometimes it comes out kind of pleasant. Sometimes it might not, after you didn't spend 20, 30, 40, 50 years saying, hey, this is my name. And then always that person who seemed like they're the very first person you ever have this conversation with. But anyway, so your name holds power. Understand that our race holds power. We as a people, we hold power. And during this time, we're really going to, and it's very interesting being a time of such where, there's a lot of talk of this Jim Crow 2.0. And you can really see amongst a lot of white people in America, and even people who are not white. Hello, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? They be the freaking foreigners too. You know what I'm saying? They jumped on this thing. They say, here go our chance. We, thinking this their chance. They get in it too. I know you didn't notice. You went to the convenience store, they acting a little bit different. You stopped by the gas station, some of the foreign people, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna put out any races, because I ain't gonna generalize, but don't know. They ain't white, they ain't black, but you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? You go to that little food place you used to go to, you know what I'm saying? You stop by them, they acting a little new. Acting a little new. I know my black people know what I'm talking about. I understand that we as black people hold power. That's why all this is happening, homie. Black progress. This is why this is happening. And the fact that as our strength, that they have to go to these measures. They have to go to these measures. Because if they don't try to find a way of stealing, killing, destroying, they know that natural order takes place. Natural ranking, ensues. Genetically. You know what I'm saying? The African being is far more ancient than Caucasians. That's just scientific fact. You know what I'm saying? By thousands of years. So understanding that we hold power simply in on a very cellular level. Our names, our race, black power, that's, likely where that comes from, in a sense. And the final card that came out is time to shine, baby. Time to shine. So this is what I'm feeling like, I'm wondering though, what it's going to take for black people as a whole, like general masses, for people who don't really be paying attention to anything like really in politics, those who don't really go out their way to be involved in civil rights acts, people who, kind of harder to reach, you know what I'm saying? What's it going to take for them to wake up and smell the racism and smell the urgency and what needs to be done? It's a very urgent matter, and I actually very much so appreciate a time as such. Throughout my lifetime, I'm in my 30s now, in my lifetime, I've kind of just felt like, this was always very present, but it was like just not addressed, but it was disgusting, and the stench was, outrageous. Very present, very observable, and very experienced, and very traumatizing. Trigger warning, to be living as a black man in America, and the level of trauma and level of stigmatism that we endure everywhere, every day. That's one of those things that you never understand without lived experience. You'll never have an inkling of an idea, no matter how empathetic or sympathetic you may identify as. You would never. Never. So it's time to shine. Many of us are, and I love that, I don't wonder what it's going to take. Is it going to take segregation? Is it going to take for some other freakers to roll up to some store or something and they say whites only, or there's a door that say coloreds only, for them to wake up and realize that this issue is urgent. You know what I'm saying? We have people like Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who, ran for Senate, and now she's, she didn't win that primary. And now she's going to be, and I love to see her expand, evolve, see what greatness she's going to achieve. You don't know who Jasmine Crockett is as a congresswoman of the United States. Check it out. Now, a lot of people are not into politics like that, right? Don't have a lot of faith. I know we even have situations where people's votes and stuff not being counted, or the determination of their vote of the poll was not respected or upheld by the Supreme Court. And it's something like, wow, people are voting and it's not mattering. Well, people are voting on, like, I think Alabama was a big case of that. Virginia had that happen with 118 on the clock. It's a matter of people are voting, and what they vote for still the opposite thing gets the going by the government. So, it's really interesting to see a time as such. I'm wondering what it's going to take for a lot of black people to get with the goings here and really feel a sense of urgency in acting and finding their way of, we have to unify within ourselves. We have to organize. We have to individually get our shit together. Maybe that's therapy, that's healing. A lot of us out here you see generations of trauma. I'm wondering, what do we do about that? When you see this man or woman who's so fucked up because their mama was fucked up, the daddy was fucked up, the grandma, the grandpa, all the aunties and uncles and the people before that generation, and they're all coming out of systemic oppression, out of this racism. Some places, this racism got some motherfuckers real good. Some environments, some neighborhoods, some places, this racism got them motherfuckers crippled. And it's very sad. It's terribly sad, terrifyingly sad to see in a lot of cases. So really, it takes upon us to figure out how we got it. First, what do we do? And there's a lot of healing. Of course, there's a lot of teachers of this stuff. So many books to read. So many phenomenal professors and lecturers, teachers, activists. Many of which I'm not aware of. But I think the questions I'm kind of giving here is questions that we as black people and every black person that we know, or every black person hopefully share this video, like, comment, subscribe, help get the video out. But I feel like, for a lot of black people, we have to find what is our way to shine, like I was saying in the video, at the intro of this video, do it for the culture. Find the way that, your time to shine, the way that you shine, however you shine. Now shine for the culture. Flex for the culture. Do it for the culture. That's what I'm feeling like we really have to do. So even as just for me, I'm trying to figure what I make YouTube videos here and there. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I can invest, and I know my goals, and I know my purpose, destiny, what God tells me each and every day. So I said, okay, I found ways, for whatever it's worth. Make a video like such. A video like this. So, whatever it is that we do, I feel like we have to find our way to do it for what? The culture. Do it for the culture is the message with back of the deck energy. Royalty, baby. Royalty. Like I said, we have to understand our ranking. I've said this in another video. Understand that we are an ancient race of humanity. And there is power simply stemming from our genetics at a cellular level. That's powerful. Support black business. A lot of these athletes are being advocated or encouraged by like the NAACP to not go to specific racist states who are, having these racist endeavors to very much so cripple black communities. They want us to be weak and distraught, confused, disenfranchised, traumatized, hungry, out back, with no voice, completely voiceless. suffering. That is what America wants for black people. It's like, wow, we must do something. Each and every one of us, whatever it is, if you smile at an extra 5 black people a day, start there. If you know there's a convenience store and you go and get your whatever it is, even if you're going to get you a 6-pack or something from a store, take the extra couple minutes to go to the black convenience store if you got one that's 2, 3, 5 minutes away, opposed to the other one, even if they ain't white. That ain't good enough anymore. And a lot of these other races, I'm sorry, they not supporting us. A lot of these other non-white races, they might got people in politics on the Hill, people and like teachers and professors, maybe here and there, who will advocate to really support other people, such as black people, in the way that we are the #1 targets of America. But many of them, I promise you, in my lifetime, I'm looking back like, hell nah. These other non-white people, they non-white and non-black, they not rocking for black people like that. I'm sorry if that's offensive or whatever, but you should know your people. I ain't gonna get into that. But they should know what I'm talking about as to why I, as a black man in my 30s, have the lived experience to say what I'm saying. Nobody gonna save black people but black people. We gotta find ways to have allies, yes, and it's kind of like a business type of thing. And maybe, of course, God will have his way. But in a general thing, I'm gonna get off that topic because I don't want to offend anybody. But in my experience, if they ain't black, they a lot of times not in support. Even if they're not white, that don't matter. And especially when whiteness is in the environment and in the presence, or even like in the room. When you're the black person in the room, as a non-white person and a non-black person in the room, you know what I'm saying? They're not white, they're not black, and it's you as a black person and that other person, and let's say a white person coming in the room. How do they typically act? A lot of the time. Like the black person is something that's the elephant in the room. And hey, that's just my experience, and not everybody gonna be like that, but it is what it is. Get off of that. Royalty, baby. Time to shine. Know that your name holds power. You are a light worker. As a chosen one, this is your time. We found our way. You know what I'm saying? Peace, light, love. Until next time, peace.